Beni Linder. So just now at the moment I'm in the office of SwissTennis. SwissTennis is the federation of the tennis players in Switzerland. And here I'm a head coach in strength and conditioning since many years. So the National Tennis Center is placed in Biel, which is a city divided in two languages. So we have a French part and we have a Swiss German part. That's also the reason why SwissTennis is based in this city, to get the players from both speaking corners of Switzerland, and to have the opportunity to send them as well to the public schools. I grew up about 30 kilometers away from the National Tennis Center. So I'm quite always a little bit around this area here in Switzerland. I grew up in a family with two other boys, two other brothers, and so together we could do already. And let's say quite at the beginning, we started to do a lot of sports together. And as well in our environment of the village, there was very nice organized. So we had a lot of opportunities to do different kind of sports. And by around 12 years old, I started to play tennis. Not very professionally, or let's say not too intensively, absolutely not. I was always interested to do other sports beside. So. But on the other hand, it's that sport that's created inside me a grit to, let's say to stay in that sport and to continue to grow in this sport, and really to start to find a lot of good moments in this sport. And then later on, when I was 16. Already, I started to give lessons. I started to emphasize. So my other colleagues, they went more and more into the competitions, and I went more and more into giving lessons. So I was quite early. I was interested in emphasizing, being on the court as a coach. That's maybe the reason, because the reason of that is maybe because my parents they were teachers, and so there was. Or I would say that was a clear link of my interest to go on court and to help other players, to emphasize, to see the connection of what kind of a topics you can give as an input, and the other players on the other side, or let's say the player on the other side can have a benefit out of that. I guess that was one of the reasons. That was not the only one of the reasons, but that was one of the reasons why I was very early interested in giving lessons. And the second reason was, with the lessons, I was able to get some money, and this money I invested again into my tennis career. So that was the reason why I could have a tiny bit more lessons with a tennis coach, or going for some tournaments. So it was a win-win situation in both directions, and that's how I came. That's how I came into sport. That's how I came into tennis. It was quite gradual. In Switzerland, we have the option to make a first coaches course when the young players are 18 years old. So with 18, I did the first one. So then you need to practice a year to have the opportunity to go in the second course. So immediately after 1 year, I already did the second course, and then I was again forced to do 1 year of practicing, which I did. And then I had the opportunity to go already to the third level. So I was extremely young when I was already in the third level. But that was the passion, that was the fire in me to give lessons. And so with 19, 20 years old, I was already quite experienced in giving lessons, because I gave so much lessons. Beside of that, I was also included in the whole organization of the juniors in our tennis club, to organize all the tennis lessons, all the physical strength and conditioning lessons inside this tennis club, the whole administration for all that. So that's how I went deeper and deeper into this sport. And after the graduation in school, I decided to study sport at a university in Bern, and that was completely logical to continue this way, to go to the university and to do sports, to study sports. I had the opportunity to open up again with a lot of other sports. So I really had the option to watch into the swimming, to watch into badminton, for example, or in football, or as well in track and field, or in gymnastics, etc., etc. Ice hockey is very popular in Switzerland, so I had an intensive period as well in ice hockey, and that was the period during the university. So to open up again, to make a huge or to build a huge knowledge of sport on the theoretical level as well on the practical level. When I graduated at the university with the master diploma, so. The first 5-6 years after university, I was an independent coach, a personal coach for the area of high performance athletes. So it was a very, very interesting period. I had about 7 different kind of sports. I was working with a motorcycle driver. I was working with a formula driver. I was working with badminton and as I already mentioned, with swimmers and tennis players. That was extremely important, this period, because during this time I developed the quality to see or to catch out the information of this of these different kind of sports, and to catch out the things that are important as a strength and conditioning coach, to add something special for these athletes. That was an important period. The important part was also to be independent. So today I really see the difference. If you work for a company, I have the opportunity to focus 100% on the lessons, on the sport, on the communication inside the coach's team, etc., etc. As an independent coach, I was also in charge about billing, about getting money, about assurances, about communication. I mean, to communicate what kind of a job you do, etc. So it was interesting, but today I'm really happy I don't have to do it anymore. But it was good to see it, to see these different jobs, and yeah, that was a variation to the things I do today. And these 5-6 years, they really showed me it's an opportunity to jump back again every day into this field. I can do it, definitely. But I really enjoy also not to do all these stuffs beside, and focusing myself more on the reality, means on the tennis lessons, on the strength and conditioning lessons, on the meetings with our coaching staff, etc. Yeah, coaching philosophy. I mean, I'm more than 20 years now coach on a high performance level, not just a coach. As I said, I started with 16. Today I'm 47. So my career as a coach is extremely long already, and also in high performance very long. So you can imagine my philosophy has changed several times. Why that? Because there's a development as a human, development in the personality, but as well development because I'm a guy who is searching all the time, who is trying to find new options, new versions, new variations. So I cannot really say there is just one philosophy, but let's say generally wise, the biggest, or one of the biggest goal is which are still living today, is to help the players that they don't need me anymore. So if they say with 20, 22, 23 years old, if they say, hey, Benny, you did a great job. I'm now ready to go out. I go now around the globe. I'm traveling for the tennis tournaments. You gave me so much information. I feel safe. I can go. Please keep in contact. But I really have a lot of knowledge, and I can go out now and start to do my own career. I think that's something I try to push to in my philosophy, so the player gets more and more and more independent of the coach. So during the lessons, if you break it down to the, let's say, to the daily business, what does that mean? During the lessons, I try to explain the players why they do something, what they do, what is the big picture behind, what's the small picture, why we do it today and not and today in the morning and not in the afternoon, but as well the long term goal behind it. So these are the explanations I gave to the players, hoping they get it, to be able in the future to build their own, let's say, their own career. I think we need to really to open up the whole variation of sport, especially the high performance sport, and there are so many things in it. If you take an example as a tennis player, it's not just about hitting the ball over the net, which is the main goal, but there are a lot of other things behind it. And as a young, when you're 12 years old and you're starting to play a lot of tennis, so tennis is, first of all, it's a hobby. You do something just in your free time. You come from school and you do it in free time, and the older you get, the better results you do. The more and more serious tennis becomes for you as a young athlete. And so there we need to add all these different kind of stuffs, such as nutrition, such as preparation, cool downs, recovery, strength training, different kind of strength training methods, but as well on the tennis court. So it's a preparation of a match. It's a discussions after the matches, how to check the next opponent, what kind of a strength point and maybe weaknesses he has, etc. So there are so many things around it, and I guess that's the thing we need to do as a coach, to show up all these different levels, or let's say different fields an athlete needs to get built. One strong part I have is listening and asking questions. So, and in this way, you have the opportunity as a coach to build a connection to the player. In our setup or let's say in my setup of my job, I have a huge opportunity to build our players up from about 14 years to 22 years old. So it's a 6, 7, 8 year time where I really can, let's say, follow and develop the players. It's a long period. So during this long period, you need to listen a lot. You need to build this connection to the player. So, and I think over the year, that's definitely something I built it quite strongly inside me to get this connection to the players. A challenge is every day here to find what's the right load. What's the right load for the player? Because you have a physical load, you have the tennis load, you have a mental load, you have a neurocentric load. There's so many different fields, and it's almost impossible to monitor all this load. And if you catch one, you lose the other one. And to put that all together in one picture, so you really know, okay, today at 11 o'clock with player X, I can give a strength training with this kind of a load. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. So it's every day a challenge, even with many years of experience. It's every day a new challenge. I try to be myself, with all the good points and let's say the negative points. I try to be in the lessons, especially in the lessons. Sometimes there's another expression of myself than during maybe meetings or discussions, etc., where I'm a little bit more, let's say, a little bit more relaxed, and I think a lot, and I'm listening a lot, etc. But in the lessons, so during the sport, I try to how do you say that, to express. I do express my emotions. So it can be that I really get loud. It can be that I really get excited, but I open it up, and through the experience of all the lessons of all the years, I really saw also it's very positive, because that's an emotion that can fly to the athletes, and they catch it, they take it, they take it. And so in this kind the lessons they get more fun. And in speed and agility, if there is more fun and more intensity and more emotions in it, we really can take out the maximum of the athlete. And in strength, in agility lessons and in speed velocity lessons, the maximum is the thing we really search. So the emotions inside a lesson like that is a key to go into the field or into the area where the players really get a benefit. I would lie if I say, no, it's easy. Every lesson I'm full of power. I would completely lie. Let's say there are two things. Again, the setup I have as a coach in our job environment here is extremely good, because I don't have so many lessons a day. So it can be that I have maybe 2 lessons a day. Sometimes it's maybe 7 lessons, but then it's a really full day. So it's something between 2 and maybe 5 lessons a day. So imagine I get the opportunity to reload the batteries. Does not mean beside the other, or let's say in the other hours, I don't do anything. No, I do a lot, because as a head coach, you can imagine there's a lot of other stuff to do, management wise, organization wise, administration wise, etc. But it's always a change from lessons to the administration and management part. It's not easy to switch. That's a challenge. That's a challenge to switch from one to the other. On the other hand, one field helps to recharge the other field. So I would say it real in this in your question, the answer is I have the opportunity, because of the setup, really to play with both parts, and that gives me the chance to recharge the batteries. Potential is such a big field. I mean, potential in what? I mean, you see, you have a player, okay, you're watching him playing tennis, and then you just see, wow, okay, that looks really good. So with this timing, with this fluidity he's playing, it's unbelievable. So you see, wow, cool movements. He's placing the ball very nicely. There's a lot of spin in the ball. The balls are heavy, so dangerous for the opponent, etc. This you can see. But then maybe you see the same guy in the strength and conditioning room, and there you don't see any potential. So you see, I guess as a coach, you need to overview the whole picture of a player. And the best ones, they are able to grow in all parts. Does not mean that they are already good, but they are able to grow, able to develop. And there are other players, they have maybe a potential in one part, but absolutely not a potential in the other part. So we can take one player, an example. He's training, practicing extremely good, but whenever they start to play points, he gets some problem with his, let's say, with his mental strength. Or he's extremely skillful on the court, but put him on the treadmill and let's give him a task to do, and you see there's no fire. There's no fire in it to do it. He's not even interested in searching the limit, trying to develop himself. He gives you the sign inside his face that it's the most boring part in his life he ever did. It gives me a sign, okay, maybe I try to find another way to push him. Maybe instead of treadmill, I go out in the wood and do some sprints or some hill runs in the forest. It's okay, but on the other hand, as a tennis player, you travel a lot around. You just come from the airport, you go to the hotel. There's a treadmill. You need to do one session to get in shape again, and then later on you go on court and prepare for the tournament. So there is no forest. You're in the middle of Miami. There is no forest. You cannot go just out. It's okay. It's a treadmill in a hotel room. It's not very big. It's not very attractive. So do you now your job? And to go back to the question, I just want to say, okay, the potential is a huge thing, but as a coach, you need to have this overview. Okay, is this player X really, or does he really show his potential in all parts or not? Or where are the weakness, or let's say the weak point? The more sense, the more meaning I give to a player, why we do this and this and this and this, the more I get intensity. It's a rule I live. I believe in it. So I need to explain a player why I do this and this, or why I give him this and this task. If he gets it, then he gives me the intensity. If I don't explain, he doesn't get it. Maybe I explain, but he doesn't get it, which is also possible. Okay, so a message has to come through. If he didn't get it, I cannot ask for intensity. It's not possible. So if I need to push somebody really to, let's say, to the limit, to his to this area where we can start to develop physical factor. Okay, in strength training, if you just move the weight, so it's therapy. But if you really load the weight, then you start to get a benefit. But at the dead end, it's the commitment between the coach and the player, and the player with his task. That needs to be a commitment to do the last repetition. And before he starts to move the weight, I need to get his commitment. And that's a question of communication. That's a question of connection between the coach and the player. It's communication and commitment. As I said, I explained them the meaning behind the task, the meaning behind the lesson. If they get it, I don't need to motivate them. My motivation, maybe my part of motivation is, let's say, that's the expression of my personal fire, which I hope jumps to the athlete. Once I see that my emotion didn't go to the athlete. So he cannot catch it, he cannot take it, he's not able to take these emotions and to transfer it into intensity, the energy. Then the lessons get complicated. They get complicated. Yes, it is possible. Surely. It's a thinny path in high performance. As long as the commitment of the player is here, as long as the player sees that's my life, that's my lifestyle, maybe that's the thing I really want to do. Doesn't matter if they win or not, if they are succeeding or not, but they really feel, okay, that's my life. I want to go there. Or let's say that's during this part of my life, that's the road. If a player is still on this road and he is really convinced about it, it's hard to burn out a player or to burn out an athlete. Once they start to doubt about it, that's the beginning of the burnout, or a possible burnout. If I just continue as a coach now to push and to push and to push and to push, I will see it immediately in his eyes. He's not ready. So now I can push again, and let's say, okay, with the power of an adult to a child, you can just continue to push. No, you need to do it now. Let's go, and so on and so on. Then a burnout is definitely possible. But as I said, that's again the communication. That's again this connection you need to have between, or let's say, to your player, to your athlete. And once you have this connection, the player normally opens up and start to explain. Watch, I'm doubting. I don't know if I'm really doing the things I want to do in my life. And in strength and conditioning, I guess I see often this doubt a little bit earlier, because we need to push them to their limit. If it's on the treadmill, if it's on a intermittent training, if it's strength and conditioning, but even in a mobility training, any kind of agility, which still can be fun. But in the fun part, there are challenges. If they lose the fun for these challenges, you cannot push them anymore. Then it doesn't make sense anymore to put them on the treadmill, because then I say, watch, I guess it makes more sense if we go up in the restaurant and drink coffee together. It makes definitely more sense for you. Come on, let's go there. You can benefit more out of this discussion than to run here like a stupid guy, just a straight on, step by step. You see, the picture starts to change when the players are not anymore on the road and they start to doubt. I guess that's really important, and that's why I said at the beginning, one of the coach's philosophy I have is to listen and to ask questions. Strength and conditioning is definitely a direction maker, I would say. A second one is while they're playing matches. Because in tennis, you lose a lot. I mean, a tournament starts with 32 players, and in the first round, the 50% goes already at home. So you lose a lot. And nobody likes to lose. And you have to digest these defeats. You have to digest them to get information to be able to develop. That's a growth mindset. Without having this growth mindset in tennis, it's terrible. You lose so much and you have so many excuses. You can build so many excuses. There's too much wind. The sun is directly in my face. I cannot serve. The opponent is not playing a regular tennis, something like crazy techniques. The ball are flying. I don't know how. To me, against this player, I cannot play, and so on and so on. These are all the fixed mindset part. So with a growth mindset, it's much easier to go through a tennis career. And I would say an indicator is also the matches or the match situation. But on the other part, as you mentioned, it's definitely also the strength and conditioning part. It's grit. Grit is passion and perseverance. Just passion, it's easy to build or easier to build, but perseverance, to rebuild it or to re-show it every day in tough conditions, in hard conditions, that makes a big difference. So an excellent player shows excellence in tough and in easy conditions, but he shows excellence. These are the guys they ask. These are the guys they are interested. These are the guys they do automatically the extra mile. You don't have to force them. The good ones, you need to force them, and then they do it. If you don't force them, they stop. They stop the training session. Yeah, it's done. My job is done today. The other ones, they're just around. They're around to do their job. Not because they have to. Not because they're interested in. And sometimes it's not a question about the amount of hours. It's a question of how much you put into the session. How much heart you put in, how much passion, grit, etc. again you put in. So you cannot show up just in every session with a wrong mindset. That's not the solution. That's a lot of players, they try to do that. Show up, do there, okay. But it's really a question how you do it. What kind of a benefit you take out of the lesson. How focused you are during single exercise. How is your split squat? How is your first step? And then maybe the second and third, because in tennis we just have 3 and then we have to stop already. Okay, but how much energy you put into the first step? How much energy you put in a change of direction? How genius you play on court because you're interested to play genius. So that's a difference. And altogether, let's say in a summary, I take it as grit, passion, and perseverance. Oof, there are a lot. I mean, they need to be skillful. They need to be able to build this grit. You don't have it just out of the blue. So it's something you really need to build. It's something we as coaches can help to build, to show up how interesting sport as tennis can be. You need definitely a lot of financial support. It's a sport that costs a lot. Especially when you become a good player, you have to travel extremely early. So when they are 16, 15, 16, they start to travel around the globe. It costs a lot. We support, as a federation, we support our players financially wise, but we cannot support everything. You need to group with good people. So good coaches, good coaches staff, good medicine guys, good physiotherapists. You have really to group with good people. People they show you the way. People they open up opportunities. People, they are not fixed. People, they see opportunities also in defeats, because you will lose a lot of matches in tennis. Everybody's talking always about the pressure from the outside, pressure from the inside. You have to deal with it, because you cannot just put it away. It's not possible. Pressure is here every day, and the more success you get, the more pressure you get. Means it's something positive. If you get pressure, that's why you work. So the more you work, the more pressure you get. So take it. But that's not so easy. You're 16, 17, you win the first title, maybe you're a European champion in tennis, and then the media starts, and then your grandmother is happy because she sees you in the newspaper or on any kind of a online portal, etc. So there are so many small things. They come to you as an athlete. You have to deal with all that. Connections to the coaches. Once you have it, then you lose it again. Or the coach is changing his job, or is changing the venue where he's working, etc. So you build up a close connection, and it's broke. It's breaking, or it will broke. And with all that, you have to deal as an athlete. And you are, as I said, high performance is a very thin path. So it's so simple to drop on the left or to drop on the right side. If all these conditions doesn't build a one picture, life gets more complicated. And with this, you need to deal. You have to accept that sometimes it gets more complicated, but you have to be able to deal with it, and still being able to play good tennis. I think that's so important for players. It's also a challenge for the players. It's a challenge for us as an organization, for each coach to bring all that together, to fix it so that the picture is clear. The player is able to produce performance without being too much disturbed from any kind of influence from right and left. Yeah, there are many different kind of roles and different kind of let's say concepts. They were successful. So it's not just one opportunity or one option that brings success. Not at all. Parents can play a role, being parent, being here, trying to support, which is definitely very, very positive. They need to be an island where the player or the athlete can go back and feel safe. On the other hand, parent also can be extremely, let's say, a motivator. If they support you, if they push you in a good way, they can push you, they can support you, they give you this power to go the extra mile, because they are interested in what you do. They give you signs how happy they are when you give an effort, a special effort, not about succeeding or losing. No, if you give an effort, they can be proud. So I think that's the very positive part. If they're interested, they exchange with the player, they exchange with the coach. They are interested in, they ask questions, they try to support in the communication, because a 16, 17, 15-year-old is not able yet to communicate that clearly in a team under adults. So in this way, they can support their son or yeah, I guess parents need to be supporters. Tough to say in which kind of direction. Some they understand a lot of tennis. They understand the sport because maybe they were athletes as well in their younger ages. Others they have no clue about sport, but they can support it anyway. Support as a parent, support, as I said, as a motivator, as somebody who is interested. If your son gives a special effort, you're listening to them, you're proud about it. I think that's the parents. It's so easy to say, but what should they not do? Okay, to build a wrong pressure. A wrong pressure means, yeah, seeing things a lot negatively. Show what kind of mistakes you did. Even if they think they do something good. Because they think, yeah, out of the mistakes you can learn again. Yeah, definitely, yeah. But it depends how the player's taking it. You can mention maybe a mistake, but you have to turn it away already so that the player can do something with it. If you just mention it and you let it be, you don't continue. So there's no, you don't show how to turn it into a positive reaction. I think that's the way how negative pressure starts to build. I think that's a tough part. Or if you only love your child when they are successful, and you give clear signs of, I will not say of hate. No, not hate. It's there are other words. I don't find it now. But if you lose a match and somebody shows you with their body language, with their eyes, with their expressions, with the communication, etc., they show you, yeah, but that was now really bad what you did, and why did you play like that, and are you really stupid? Didn't you understand that the other one is completely blind? Didn't you see the backhand is worse than forehand? You always play on the forehand side. So you just put all the negative things in it without showing opportunities to turn it, to be able to grow. Then it's tough. It's tough to live under this condition as an athlete. Tennis, internationally wise, let's say the international tennis, the high top sport tennis, I think it's challenging. It's challenging the interest of the people watching the matches. The matches, they take 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and more. We see a lot of sports where the tournament situation, or let's say the match situation, or the is getting small or shorter and shorter. Tennis didn't change a lot so far. There are some movements or there are some trends, but so far it didn't change yet. So it's still, you still play best of 3, you still play sets up to 6, and so on. And if you observe a little bit how the young players, yes, let's say the young guys are watching tennis, they just check out the highlights. They don't watch a match anymore. They wait until the match is over and then they watch some highlights. So who is interested to see the beginning of a set? The first 4, 5, 6 games maybe until 3-all. Who is interested in that? The set starts to get interesting after 3-all. And this 3 times. So in the first, in the second, and in the third. So you will see the people, they want to go and watch tennis. It will start to divide. divide in the direction. Those, they just want to see the highlights, the cool points, the fun part, maybe some music in between, etc., etc. And they are maybe the more traditional ones. They still believe in tennis as a sport as it showed up since ages. It would be interesting to see this development tennis is able to do. Could be that there will be different kind of tournaments in the future. So tournaments that are more, let's say, traditionally wise organized, such as maybe Wimbledon, the Grand Slams, best of 5, and there are maybe some other events. They are much more. They go much more in a direction of fun, of short sets, intensively matches, but short ones. You play maybe during a day against several opponents. Today they play just one match and then the day is over. Why they cannot play 3 matches but much shorter ones? And if this starts to change on the top level, it will have a direct influence to the training sessions of each tennis player. And that would mean that the skills to play tennis, skillful shots, maybe are even more important. That speed and agility is even more important. Endurance is less and less important, and so on. So there could be a lot of consequences if the rules of tennis start to change. We'll see. Money is always a huge thing in tennis, because if you take golf and you are number 400 in the world, you earn a very good amount of money to live. In tennis, you need to be top 100, and even then it's tough to make a living. And the very best, they get a lot of money. So the way how money is divided into a bigger group of tennis players is sick. This system is sick. And sooner or later, it creates problem. It's so tough if a top 500 player who is working every day, who is professional since 5 years, he doesn't win any cent at the end of the year. He's investing and making a hole in his bank account of more than 100,000 each year. That's not correct, because there is a lot of money and there is enough money around, but it's completely wrong divided. That will be a challenge in the future, because the less players who wanna become good players, the less the engine of tennis is turning, especially in high performance. That will not have an influence of any kind of a hobby player playing in Switzerland in a club twice a week, an hour. There will not be a lot of influence, but for the engine of high performance, that will have a lot of influence. How about that people see that strength and conditioning in tennis is a very important part. And I would also, or I try to give already now informations and signs that strength and conditioning is not just traditionally wise, a little bit strength, a little bit endurance, a little bit lifting weight, etc., etc. Strength and conditioning, especially in tennis, is so close to tennis technique. We call that orientated training. We orientate to tennis. We go as close as possible to tennis. Close as possible means in all physical factors. So in speed and agility, how to move on the court. In strength training, what kind of contractions we need, what kind of angles we have to work. How long is the duration of the exercise? In the endurance part, what kind of endurance a tennis player really needs. So we try to go as close as possible. We really have a very close connection as well to the tennis coaches. We need to work hand in hand. So that would be one part. A second part, and I think that will be the future, the near future. It's we call it neuroathletic training. I think the part of neuroathletic training will become in the future, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, a huge part. It's still at the beginning. Some countries, some coaches are already doing a great job. But the main part of the coaches, of tennis coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, the main part, they don't use it yet. And I see there a huge chance to give something extra what we didn't have the last 20 years. And for me, the next 15, 20 years in my coach's career, I guess I will invest more in the neuroathletic part. For me, it's like to add something which we didn't use so far. It's the brain. Because the brain is guiding at the end the muscles. And we were too much focused on the output. And we didn't take, or we took a little bit, but we didn't take that priority to the input information. I hope and can push Switzerland, especially the tennis Switzerland part, that neuroathletics will become a higher, or will get a higher priority. Yeah, they were different, different development steps. I had different kind of coaches. They were inspiring me. So when I was a young 12, 14, 15, 16 years old, it was my tennis coach. He was a guy who was searching a lot. He was trying to put sports science and into tennis, and the knowledge of a sport teacher into tennis, onto this world of tennis. So the variation of sports, etc. But as well the quality of communication, the quality of the exchange, what's going on between coach and player, and then the way he was able to motivate, or let's say through the variation, to give a field. Hey, watch here in tennis, you really can develop. It's interesting. There are so many things right and left than just playing tennis. I mean, just playing the ball over the net. There are so many other things. So he opened up me this field. Later on at university, there was another coach. His name is Jean-Pierre Ecker in Switzerland. He's a very, very famous coach. He was in track and field, and was responsible for the coaches' education, the highest degree in Switzerland, organized by Swiss Olympic. So where a lot of other, or let's say all the other sports came together as well, and not just a specific tennis coaches' education. No, really all over. He was responsible for that part, or was always integrated there. And he is an inspiration. He's still today an inspiration. How he communicates, how he put senseful things into sport, how he brought strength and conditioning as close as possible to the main sport. as football, as basketball, as tennis, as track and field, etc. So the connection, how things has to go hand in hand, that the effect in the real sports really can show up. And I would like to mention a third coach. That's the strength and conditioning coach of Roger Federer and Stan Wawrinka. It's Pier Paganini. I was able to be, or I had the opportunity to be an assistant coach for about 3 years. Could work beside of him. Then later on, he left the federation, and I get the opportunity during this time to take his job as a head coach. And these 3 years and all the other years before and after, I had contact with him. So each meeting is an inspiration. How he's able to find the right words to explain the meaning of an exercise, the reason why to do it, etc. That was phenomenal. That was absolutely great. So yeah, these are three important coaches in my career, beside others, but let's say tier 3. I mean, it's easy. I could just take the biggest, let's say, the biggest success I had with an athlete. Okay, yeah, but sometimes it's completely different. It can be when an athlete came out of a very difficult situation, as for example an injury, and we were able to build together again a stable situation, so we can come back to playing matches. It's very, very, or these are very, very good moments. Success is a very good moment. That's an easy moment. It's not easy to build it, but once then it's easy. The other way, out of tough conditions, to go through with the athletes, to live all this, let's say, this pain, if it's an injury, or all these doubts why during the injury. So this management about an injury, this field, and to go through and once you see, okay, now he's close to be able again to come back, and then you see, wow, he can start to win matches now. That's great. That's great as a coach. So you live the tough conditions, and then you see what really comes out behind of that. No, I can say I'm really happy. I'm really happy about the development. Personally, I did. A lot. They are asking me again and again. Okay, why didn't you choose a period in your career so far? Okay, where you go on the tour, on the tennis tour, as a traveling strength and conditioning coach, for example. Why I always stayed at the federation. Since 2005, I'm a head coach, but I see so many challenges every day. I have so many ideas how to develop us as a federation. I can live 7-8 years with athletes, and can go through their development phases from 14 as a teenager up to 20, 23. Sometimes I have players, they are 35 or 28 is at the moment is the oldest one, and I still are able to go this pathway with these athletes. That's great. So I don't regret that I didn't go on the tour, not at all. I have again and again opportunities. Next week, for example, I go to Parma for a WTA tournament, and I can go together with an athlete there. But living day in, day out on the tour, no, I don't regret it. Today, I would say invest a little bit more in playing matches, and don't go too early or too too much focus directly into a coaching career. I continue to play matches. Still today, I play sometimes 2, 3 matches, 4 matches a year. But I had not one single year when I was playing 60 or 70 matches a year. So it means something about 20, 25 tournaments, maybe 30 tournaments. You really, you go from defeat to the next tournament. You try to be successful again. You succeed, and then you have to live with this success, etc. So I didn't have this. And today I would say, to go through all these problems, but with a huge number of matches. I had it, but I was playing maybe 25 matches a year as a player, and this on a regional level in Switzerland. So I was not a very good player at all. It's not just a question about the level; it's also a question about the number of matches. Normally, the more you play, the better results you get, and so that's why your ranking gets up. But I didn't live this intensive period of playing matches and being an athlete. On the other hand, I had so much contact with athletes. You grow into this. So today I understand my athletes when they talk about matches, when they talk about defeats, when they talk about how difficult it is to go from tournament to tournament. You still feel your back, but your next match is the next day, etc., etc. Throughout the experience, you get it, but not as an athlete. So through the experience as a coach, I got it. That would be an advice. What I would change. I was happy to start to emphasize early. I was able to travel around the world. I had a lot of opportunities to talk in front of audience during coaches conference worldwide. That was the reason to be able to exchange with a lot of coaches internationally wise, a lot of federations around the globe. So it means I was not at all always or only focused about my job here at the MTC in Switzerland. So I was year in, year out. I was always open to exchange and take challenges to talk in front of 800 people in Turkey or in Bangkok, etc. And then you have to open up your thoughts, and you put yourself in the critical field, because everybody who's watching you, they can come and criticize you. No, I think there were a lot of good things happen. We are developing a lot. Often very small things, but almost daily. Small changes. We add something there, etc., etc. Today, I think to make a next step in the setup we have today is, personally, in my opinion, is we need a new strength and conditioning room. We need a high performance center. A high performance center, I understand, okay, well, I want to have the physiotherapist in the same house I'm working. He is part of the federation. Today we have a physiotherapist, but he's working independently, so it's much more difficult to collaborate together. I would need a high performance center to have enough rooms to to have a field where I can measure tests or making testings. The setup is organized. I just can jump in the room, do any kind of jump tests, and come back again and go directly in the other room, which is a strength room, and change the room again. And then I'm in a multi-sport area where I can do any kind of agility exercises, which is on all 3 rooms on the same level. Close to the tennis court, so the players, they just can take the racket and transfer the things we did in the gym directly with racket and ball on the court, etc. So these are not the conditions we have today. So if I can dream, I would dream about having a high performance center. That would be great. We are working on it. But I know it's still it's a mission, so it's still a dream. We don't have any okays, and yes, they are still missing. But that's something I dream, and it doesn't jump out of my head. So I try to push and continue to push in this direction to get it once, maybe before my retirement. I don't know. You don't believe, but I hardly watch any TV. One film I saw, which I still can remember. That's not that easy for me. But I was in an airplane. I don't know where I was flying. I guess to Bangkok, and I watched the film. It was really funny. It's A Fisherman's Friend. It's a film from south part of England with a group of music guys. They really made a lot of fun, and that was cool. Fisherman Friend. So the fishers, they build a music group through singing, and it was so fun. So Fisherman's Friend. Let's say that's a nice movie. I would not say there's a song. It's not a song. It's more. I like rock music. I like as well R&B. Depends a little bit on the mood. But if I just choose, I'm sitting in a train and I take my phone. I choose something out. It normally goes in direction of rock. So let's say it's not a favorite song, but it's a favorite genre for the music. I mean, I don't like it, but I have to use, or I use WhatsApp a lot, as I guess most of the people around the world. I use again and again the camera version, just to film the athletes, or to make some photos of my old children and my wife, of the families. But the app of the camera I use a lot in the training sessions. You only said 2. Okay, so let's stay at these 2. There are definitely a lot of others, but these are 2 I use a lot. Surely the mail and all the communication apps which I put on the WhatsApp in generally wise, but beside of that, it's maybe the camera. Clearly, cats. I hate dogs. Hot. Yeah, why not flying? I try to organize my life extremely efficient. So if I'm efficient, I can do a lot of things. If I would have the opportunity to fly, I would be much faster from A to B. And this I see often as a time you lose. Even with the let's say with the cell phone today, you already can do much more things than ages ago when you had a Discman, or just reading a book. Today it's a little bit more convenient to listen a podcast. So the time in the train, in the fly, or even in the airplanes is You can use it today much more efficient. But yeah, flying would be great. So you don't need to stay all the time in the traffic jam. That would be great. Yes. Boring. You know, once I thought it could be swimming, but then I started to work with swimmers after the university. I became a coach, a strength and conditioning coach of swimmers. So then I thought, what swimmers? They are in the water and they just go up and down and up and down, and how stupid it is. Where's the fun part? I was asking myself, where's the fun part? But then you get in contact with these athletes, and you start to. I was starting to asking these questions. What is really funny for you? And they explained it. Definitely, everybody had a little bit other challenges, and I started to understand. Yeah, okay, it can be a challenge. Definitely not for me, but I understood. I understood. Yeah, okay, for some people it can be a challenge. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't mention now swimming. Okay, please. But I was asking myself again and again in different kind of sport. Okay, what's the fun part? What's the fun part of being of let's say sitting on a bike and riding through France, 3,600 kilometers for the Tour de France? Yeah, for some it could be interesting. Not for me. If you see me moving on the court, it's close to a cat. So I just can say what other people are talking about when they see me moving on the court, or let's say doing any kind of sports. It looks quite harmony. It looks extremely smooth. It looks fast. I'm an explosive guy. So I guess I'm close to a cat. My full name is Benedict, so I changed it already to Beni. So you see, definitely a name which is short and not long. So I guess I changed it already. I'm extremely happy with my life as it is today. I try to be a good father. I hope every day to have a tiny bit more time for my family. It's not always easy to get it, and then once you come home, you still feel tired. So you have to turn your life again to be now powerful after all the sessions and lessons here with the other players and the other childs, etc. So you have again childs at home. It's a challenge to be. It's a challenge to be a good, let's say, a good partner. It's a challenge to be a good dad. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to be a good coach. That's challenging to express your energy every day and every hour. That's if I can continue with it, I'm already extremely happy. Coach, to be coaching is tough. Is tough in the way because you have to invest a lot of time. There are weekends, there are evenings, there are let's say the day never stops, the week never stops. I mean, I can easily sit at 11 o'clock Saturday evening in front of the computer and trying to build any kind of a graph or an image about okay, what is tennis and playing matches and the physical part behind it and so on and so on and so on. So I'm completely in it. Or I read a book about neuroathletics and then I sit down and take my notes and put them into a table to clarify my head about all the information and so on. that can be Sunday morning, or it can be Friday evening, or it can be during my holidays, sitting or lying at the beach and reading a book about it, and taking notes, etc. So it never stops. So I don't have a job. I have a mission. I have a mission to do, and it's cool. But you have to protect sometimes yourself. And then I see again, yeah, but I'm still on my path. And we were discussing today, okay, if a player is still on his path, or an athlete is still on his path, he cannot burn out. So me, myself, I have to take care that I'm still on the path, because my days, they never stop. I'm coach 24/7. Even if I have a family, even if I have 2 kids, etc., I have to deal with all that. But after 6 o'clock in the evening, I'm still coach. It never stops. It's cool. It's cool if as long as you are on the path. It's very cool. If you don't have this grit and this passion, it's hard to be coach. Then the days, they would never stop for you. For me, they never stops as well. But I don't care about it. And for the other ones, it never stops, but it will kill them. So stay on your path, have fun, have grit, build passion, live all that, and then it's a great job to be coach.